Okay, this is part one of this tutorial on how to make eyes, realistic eyes, the easy way. This right here is what you are going to make in step one. It is a bed of polymer clay rolled out to the thickest setting of a pasta machine, and eyes that are ready for painting. To make this particular step, you'll need a Sculpting pearl and etch set, which gives you 3 different pearl sizes. The largest one is what I use for the largest size dolls that I make. Those are about 1/4 scale. The medium tool is what I use to make eyes for 1/6 scale, which is about fashion doll size, and the smallest one is what I use to make eyes for miniature dolls. The irises I make using ball styluses. There's only three sizes that I make them in. You can use any kind of ball stylus. You can adjust this technique to suit your own needs as a doll maker. The smallest stylus on a Kemper tool is what I use for the 1/12 scale. The largest on a Kemper tool, Kemper stylus tool, is what I use on the 1/4 scale. And the Sculpey Studio stylus set, the smallest tool in that set, is what I use for the medium 1/6 scale. The Kemper tools, you'll get the same tool on one end for both tools, but on the other end, one is smaller and the other one is larger. These are still available, and all these tools are still available on the marketplace. So we'll begin. Let me get these out of the way. First, we'll roll out a sheet of clay. This is the thickest setting of the pasta machine. I'm going to get the pasta machine out of the way. And now I'm going to actually cut this. I'm just using Fimo Classic White right out of the package. For the bed of clay, use any light color brand of polymer clay. The next step, of course, is to make the actual eye. And that is done by making a ball, rolling it, and placing it in the tool, then placing it on the bed of clay, twisting it horizontally, and pulling it up. And you continue that process. You get as many balls as you need onto your bed of polymer clay. The next step is to make the irises, and to do that, I first pierce the top of the pearl, and then where I pierced it, I'll embed the stylus tool. This process is done the same for all 3 sizes, and you'll end up with something like this. This is already baked. This is exactly what you want out of step 1. When I mix my Genesis paints, I like to have a creamy consistency, so I'm using the thinner, and I'm taking just a small amount of thinner, placing it in the palette. Normally I use a palette, but for this demonstration I'm using a disposable container. So I mix the carbon black and the viridian blue. The color eyes that I'm going to make in this demonstration are going to be blue. So I've got a nice consistency to this paint, and I've got plenty of paint for this project. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a brush with this paint, and you can do this as neatly or as messy as you want. It doesn't matter, because we're going to clean up the edges before we build up the iris with clay. And I'm just basically taking that mixture of viridian blue and carbon black and painting each one of those holes. There is no other part of this process. This is the entire process of part 2. So that's it. Part 2 is ready to go. So we have to bake this now at 275 degrees. Let the oven reach the temperature, 275 degrees, and then I shut it off and let the clay cool off in the oven. So that's ready to go. And to finish off step 2, I'm using 100% pure acetone, and I use a professional nail salon brand. This part is pretty simple. All I'm doing is taking a Q-tip that's been soaked in an acetone, and I'm removing all of the excess paint. I'm rubbing it off. I'm going to get that as neat as possible, so that at the end of this step I'll have 4 pairs of eyes that are ready to fill with clay for the iris and a pupil. That part will be baked on too. For cutting, I use an X-Acto knife, aluminum handle. If you buy the one that has the aluminum and then the plastic handle, that plastic handle is going to keep breaking on you. So you want to get the actual aluminum handle and the number 22 blade. This is what you end up with after step 2. On the 1/12 scale on these, there's probably 3 eyes that turned out usable. And that's because I rushed through it, and partly because I didn't cut them out of there. What I do sometimes is I will cut them, leave the eye on the bed itself to be easier to handle, but I will cut them and work on them this way when I do the irises and the resin. I do that mostly for the 1/12 scale, but occasionally I do them for all. In this scale, there's quite a few eyes. This scale gave me the best results, so has the most matched pairs. The bigger ones, the resin magnifies everything, so I'm just using an old expired grocery store ad. Cutting, always cut away from you. When you're ready to cut out the eye, cut it down, square it up, and then that way you could see how much white is in there. And I just kind of slice it down. Like I said, cut away from you. I never cut towards me. I never do this in the air. I always do it on a mat, because this tutorial involves cutting the eyes out. Using a blade, I want to make sure that I explain safety, so that can actually go into the doll. I leave some of this stuff out around the eye if it's stuck pretty well, because it helps the eye kind of stay in place, and if you need to move the eye around, it gives you some kind of anchor. So I leave little wings on the eyes like this. Thanks for watching the tutorial, and I'll see you in video 2.